guys! Today I will teach you how to take a face cast. So let's begin. So, what is face casting? Face casting, or also known as live casting, is the process of creating a three-dimensional copy of a living human body through use of molding and casting techniques. When you are live casting, you use alginate to cover the area you want to cast. After that, you reinforce it with plaster bandages. If everything is solid, you can remove the alginate cast and pour in plaster in the negative mold, and then you will be left with a live cast. So, before I show you how to face cast, I want to go over some misconceptions and the do's and don'ts about live casting. So the first misconception that a lot of people have is that live casting is expensive. It all depends on what you find expensive, of course, but face casting isn't that expensive. Alginate is around 10 to 15 euros for a pack of 500 gram, which is enough for 2 face casts. If you were to face cast with a friend, it would only cost you around 5 to 7 euros. Plaster bandages are around 3 to 7 euros, and plaster is around 5 euros for 5 kilograms, which is more than enough for 2 face casts. So for around 18 euros you can get 2 face casts. Another misconception that a lot of people have about live casting is that you can breathe properly under the alginate. This isn't true. Your nose will be free from alginate at any time and you can breathe through your nose like you would normally do. So we have now discussed the misconceptions about live casting. I also want to talk about now the wrong way to face cast. I've seen a lot of people in the cosplay community do this, but please guys, don't ever use plaster bandages to face cast your face. And the reason why, you may ask, I will tell you now. Let me grab my notes. Plaster bandages can get very warm while they are curing and can cause your skin to get irritated and even burned. Plaster bandages can grip onto hair very easily, so if you aren't planned on getting rid of your eyebrows, don't face cast with plaster bandages, guys. And plaster bandages can be very hard to remove when they are cured, and they can get stuck underneath your jawline. So if you aren't planning on going to the emergency room, don't face cast with plaster bandages. Another problem with plaster bandages is that it can't grab onto every little detail that you have on your face. So if you want to grasp every little detail that you have on your face, use alginate. Now I will give you a couple reasons why you should use alginate instead of plaster bandages. Alginate doesn't heat up and is safe for your skin. Alginate doesn't grab onto hair, and if it comes in contact with hair, it is easily removed. Alginate is still flexible after it is cured, so it's easy to remove from your face. If you're still not convinced about the dangers of plaster bandages, please consult any certified special effects makeup artist and he or she will tell you that it's very dangerous to use plaster bandages for face casting. Now let's move on to the don'ts for using alginate. Don't ever just dump your head in a bucket of alginate. You won't be able to breathe. And trust me guys, I've heard stories of people that just dump their heads in alginate. So please guys, use a little bit of common sense. Don't put straws in your nose. You can breathe just fine underneath the alginate if you keep the nostrils clean of alginate at all times. Don't try and face cast your own face. Do this always with the help of another person. While alginate is a skin-safe molding material, always make sure you do a little test on your skin to make sure you aren't allergic to the alginate. So if it's your first time face casting, here are some tips and tricks for you. The first tip I can give you is to do always your own research. If you are unsure about something, please consult a certified special effects makeup artist. He or she can help you with the face cast or even do the face cast for you. So please guys, don't believe everything you see on the internet and always make sure you do your own research. If it's your first time face casting, always make sure you do it with another person. When I was in beauty school, we always did it in pairs of 3. One person would sit and get their face cast taken, and the other 2 persons would spread the alginate all around the face. One person would keep an eye out for the nostrils to make sure the alginate wasn't running into the nose, and the other person would spread the alginate evenly. This is also great if you need to go to another room to grab some water or something else. Another person can always stand next to the model and reassure them that they're are okay, or if something goes wrong, there's always one person in the room with the model. Another tip I can give you is have all of your supplies ready to use. So this means cut your plaster bandages, have your buckets of water ready, have your bucket of alginate ready. This way your model doesn't have to stay any longer underneath the alginate than is necessary. Make sure you have a nice and calm environment for your model. This means making sure it isn't too loud or isn't extremely cold or extremely warm. Another tip I can give you is to play your model's favorite kind of music that makes he or she calm, and this way it will be a more pleasant experience for your model. Always make sure you stay very calm when you are face casting someone, even if they are stressed. Reassure them that it only takes a couple of minutes and they can be free from the alginate in seconds if they feel stressed. You can remove the alginate at any given time. While you're face casting, explain the process to your model and tell them how long every step will take. This will reassure the model and give your model the confidence that you know what you're doing. And this one is a little obvious, but don't tell jokes about what things could go wrong with live casting. This can seriously stress out your model. And the last tip I can give you is communicate with your model when he or she is under the alginate. I always discuss a hand sign with my model before I start face casting, so this means a thumbs up if things are going well and a thumbs down when he or she isn't feeling that well. So if it's your first time getting a face cast taken, I also have some tips for you. Make sure you're always in a good vibe when you're going to get your face cast taken. If you're claustrophobic, I wouldn't recommend getting your face cast. The experience might be too unpleasant, but if you're really determined on getting a face cast, make sure there's a person standing next to you at any given time to reassure you that you're okay and you're doing great. Make sure your skin is clear from any makeup. Sit in a comfortable position because you will have to sit in that position for around 10 to 15 minutes. Wear old clothes you don't mind throwing away afterwards. The alginate is really hard to remove from clothing. Another tip I can give you is when you are feeling stressed when you're underneath the alginate is to count down from 1000 to 0. This will give your brain to think about something else. If you feel like the thumbs up and the thumbs down isn't enough to communicate with, you can always grab a piece of paper and a pen and write down how you feel. But make sure you practice beforehand how to write without seeing. And like I said before, play your favorite kind of music that makes you feel happy and calm. Now that was a lot of rambling and a lot of information, so let's move on to the process. Start by first pinning the hair back. After that, take a plastic wrap and cover the hair so the alginate won't come into the hair. If you have a bald cap laying around, use a bald cap for this step. It will make the sanding part of the cast a lot easier. If you want, you can cover the hairs of your eyebrows and lashes with a little bit of Vaseline. Don't apply too much Vaseline, because the alginate may not stick well to your skin where you have applied the Vaseline. After that, start mixing the alginate with cold water. The mixing ratio for alginate is 75 grams of alginate to 200 milliliters of water. But always make sure you check the alginate for the right mixing ratio because it can be different. For a face cast you will need about 225 grams of alginate and 600 milliliters of water. If you want to also cast the neck and a little more of the forehead, use 350 grams of alginate and 800 milliliters of cold water. First put half of the cold water into the container with the alginate and mix it well. Then slowly add the rest of the water until it becomes the thickness of mayonnaise. Don't put in all the water at once because you may need less or more water. Don't mix your alginates too long because it will harden very quickly. If everything is mixed properly, start applying the mixture. Start on top of the head and spread it out. After that, apply it over the eyes and spread it out over the cheeks. After that, put the alginate over the mouth area and start covering the nose. It is best to have one person cover the nose area while the other person spreads the alginate all over the rest of the face. Here you can see that my mom keeps an eye out for the nose area while I work on the rest of the face. The tip I can give you here is work quick. Quickly spread the alginate and try to focus to get it to cover all the places, and then you can apply more to the areas that need it. I always use my leftover alginate on the eye area because this is the area where air bubbles appear the most. When you are done covering the face, wait until the alginate hardens, In the meanwhile, you can clean your hands and grab a bucket with warm water for the plaster bandages. But always make sure there's one person in the room with your model. You want to fold your bandages 2 times, so you will have 4 layers of bandages. After that, take your bandage and dip it into the warm water. Grab the ends and gather it and squeeze out a little bit of water. You will need 6 different lengths of bandages to reinforce your alginate. You will need to fold all of the strips twice, so you will have 4 layers. You need 2 strips that are 100 centimeters long. These are for the forehead and the mouth. 2 strips that are 80 centimeters long. These are for the chin and the neck. 1 strip that is 120 centimeters long. This is for the center of the face. And 1 strip that is 40 centimeters long. This is for the nose. Then start applying the bandages. There isn't any right or wrong way of applying the bandages, but I like first to apply the bandages to the forehead and under the chin. Then the eyes and mouth area, and the last strips go over the eyebrow area and onto the nose. You want to reinforce the nose area well, because this area is the weakest area most of the time when you're face casting. It is hard to cover this area in a thick layer of alginate, so you will have to reinforce it with some plaster bandages. When the plaster is fully cured, you can now remove your face cast. Let your model lean forward a bit and have them place their hands on the face cast. Let your model wiggle their face around, so this means frown and make a lot of silly faces. This will allow the alginate to loosen up from the skin without ripping the alginate. Then, for the face caster, slowly peel off the face cast from your model. Before you start applying plaster, block the nose area with a plaster bandage. You want to pour in plaster as soon as possible when you're done with face casting. The reason why is because the alginate will dry up if you leave it like that for a day. If you really can't pour in plaster right away, you can put in wet paper towels into your alginate mold to prevent it from drying up, but this isn't ideal. You will have to apply 3 layers of plaster to your face cast. The first layer is a very thin layer. This layer we call the beauty coat. The beauty coat is there to grasp every little detail and make the chances of air bubbles appearing a lot smaller. Mix your plaster and start applying it. Spread it evenly with a brush or with your fingers, like I did here. Let it harden just a tiny bit so it's a little bit thicker and spread it over the places that didn't get covered completely. Now let this harden fully before you start applying the next 2 layers. For the second layer, start applying a little bit of plaster over the first layer. Then mix up a batch of plaster. This batch can be a little bit thicker than the first layer. You want the plaster to be the thickness of yogurt. Then cut your burlap and dip the burlap into the plaster and apply it to your face cast. The burlaps help to reinforce the face cast. When you're done with the burlap, mix up another batch of plaster. This one can be a little bit thicker than the second batch. Apply the batch to the face cast to cover the burlap. Now let your face cast cure. It is the best to wait a day until you open your face cast. This way you will know for sure that the plaster is fully cured. To open your face cast, first start by removing the plaster bandages. The bandages can be a little bit tricky to remove, so you can always use scissors or an X-Acto knife to help you cut the plaster bandages. After that, remove the alginate and you will be left with a perfect copy of your face. I will make another video on how to clean up your face cast.
So guys, that is how you take a face cast. Now you can use your face cast for a lot of different things, and I will make lots of videos using the face cast. And particularly this mask will be up in a future video. I hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. And if you like our videos, feel free to subscribe. And I will see you very soon in my next video. Take care guys! Happy face casting! Bye!